Have a seat, Ant. They're not too close, are they?
Well, I'll tell you what.
I think we're going to get closer at some point.
At Silverstone last year, the first 15 laps of the race, I think that was the furthest apart the two cars were. And the closest they ended up getting was a little bit like this, going into the new right-hander at Abbey, which was a bit too personal and up close.
And I had a wall about here as well, right here.
That was possibly
far away from the wall. I'll have to remember that you can actually go closer to the wall next time.
That's possibly not as close as you two boys might get in 2011.
I think that was close enough. Yeah, that was. I mean, hopefully, for the fans' point of view, they can see more of that, because that was a fantastic race. I wish his car lasted longer, because
not as much as I did,
because it would have gone on like that surely for a couple more laps, to say the least.
Anthony, you won the Autosport 1000 Ks at Silverstone, a big international sports car race with big pedigree. Pretty good for your CV.
It was very good, yeah, and you know, I really, the thing still, not just because he's sitting here, but the thing that I really enjoyed the most out of the whole weekend was racing against Allan. You know, obviously a legend in Le Mans cars racing, and to have the chance to battle wheel to wheel like that was not only good for us two as drivers, but for the fans as well. I think they had something like 40,000 fans there over the course of the weekend, and bearing in mind the Grand Prix was on the same weekend as well. I think the Monza race. I was really pleased to see that. So it was a great weekend for Peugeot to win, but also for the fans to watch, and also I think a bit of personal pride in being British and seeing so many British supporters there.
I was in the grandstand with my 5-year-old, and I was kind of bigging up the Brits and in the fastest cars at the front, and he was watching Allan, chiefly because he could see the helmet, because the open top car, and he cried when Allan's car broke.
So did he.
I said, don't worry, there's another English guy in that one. So you were suddenly his best friend.
I'm second best, eh? All right, okay. I got a lot to learn in that game, yeah.
Well, if Peugeot built an open top car, it wouldn't be a problem. New car for 2011, the 90X.
What's the X going to stand for?
Oh, it's a code name at the moment. So the new name of the car is yet to be announced, you see. On the 3rd of February, it will all come clear.
Is it the 90X at the moment, or the 90X?
Is it not the 4th of February?
It was the 3rd of February. I'm told it's the 3rd of February. So
McNish fishing for Peugeot snippets.
No, it'd be quite funny if
on
he
the
turned
phone.
up
We are more ahead than what you think by a day at least.
The car doesn't look fundamentally different, unlike the Audi, which we'll come to in a minute. But is it underneath?
But I think essentially, you know, it's to the rules. So the rules are the dominating factor in design of the cars these days, and you know, more so we've been, you know, for the restriction of the regulations for this year, they've been detuned, not just power-wise but aero-wise as well. And I think all in all the cars are going to be a tiny bit slower than what they were for last year, which is a real shame for drivers, because you want to always drive the fastest machinery available. But it's funny, the situation we've found now in motorsport, that I mean someone like Colin Chapman be turning in his grave at the thought of being restricted in design and speed of the car. So Formula One is exactly the same, in that we've now reached a limit almost of pretty much of what the human body could take in terms of aerodynamic force, and we're now being restricted in terms of safety. So that's one thing we face for this season in the shape and the appearance of the new cars.
Alan, Pat Simmons was saying earlier that despite the smaller innovation window, people still pop up with amazing innovations. The race is still on, off track as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the one thing that's been clear over the last 20 odd years that I can remember is that the designers are probably a little bit more clever reading the rule book than the guys that write the rule book, and they're always looking for areas to exploit, and you know, you don't forget the benefits of something, so then when it's banned, you look for other ways of creating solutions, and that's where the designers are actually quite sharp. And for us as drivers, it's the same thing. We look at the rule book and we try and think, right, okay, I can gain a tenth there, I can maybe do that, I can do this. And we're all bound by it, but that's where I think the innovation side of Le Mans is quite interesting at the moment, is that it's got a wide enough rule book that we've got a diesel, we're waiting to see what these guys have got. We know Aston Martin's on a petrol, and whether you've got a turbo, a V8, V10, hybrid, whatever, you know, you can bring the technology you believe in to the party. And it's one of the few positions in world motorsport right now that that's available.
R18 is fundamentally different on the top and underneath, up the front and down
everywhere,
the back.
Everywhere. There's nothing carried forward between any of the previous cars.
Just give us an idea of what it's made up of.
Carbon fibre. It's a closed cockpit car. We saw in the last couple of years the top line speed of the Peugeot especially was very strong. And now with the restriction on the capacity of the engine, that it's led us in that direction, and it's clear that closed car is better for the aerodynamic efficiencies. And when you look at Le Mans with the straight lengths and the times were over 200 miles an hour, then it leads it in that way as well. Now they've got a 65-litre fuel tank, so therefore fuel economy is critical. And we've gone with a right-hand drive. And the right-hand drive is a big step for Audi because obviously they're a German company, and left-hand drive has been all the way through all of their cars. This is the first time ever. And we've got a 3.7 litre V6. And so it is quite a big change, but like I said, it's a new car from front to back. There's not any carryover between the previous cars, except the designers and the people involved on the engine and on the chassis side are the same as they have been for the R10 prior to the R15, the R10 and also the R8 before it.
Well, it sounds all right, a 3.7 litre V6.
I prefer the sound of the champagne bottle cork flying out on the victory podium. So from that point of view, that's the main thing.
Thinking ahead again. Yeah.
No,
that means it sounds worse.
The sound is different, there's no question. Between a diesel and a petrol, there's quite an audible sound difference. But, that's one of the areas of Le Mans. It's not a conformity. They all do sound a little bit different. And, yes, there's definitely a different tone to it all.
Anthony, for you in 2011, the programme again focuses on the Le Mans 24 Hours. It wasn't a happy weekend for Peugeot last year, was it?
It was really disappointing to go from such dominance from early on in the week. And it's kind of like in the same way in Formula One, you arrive at different circuits and you're unsure of the strength of your competitors, where you're going to be as well. And we were surprised to be so far ahead in a way.
So were we.
Yeah, it was. I think we were, respectively surprised between different parties, and not such a good thing for the race, but a luxurious position to be in from Peugeot's point of view. And what followed was just completely unforeseen from what happened in previous tests and the races as well. We never expected that the engines were going to be the limiting factor in that race whatsoever, and one by one they slowly let go, and from each car being in the lead, so you watched all your teammates disappear. Then it was our car, and then one of the other cars as well. One of the I think the third car had a problem with the suspension or something, so they were out. But it was a really dark weekend for what was a brilliant season. Apart from that, winning every single race we entered. Apart from that,
yeah.
it was just the one race you all really want to win, and none of us finished.
A quick word about the ILMC before I kick McNish off, and we can talk about Formula One. ILMC, International Le Mans Cup, a global sort of championship that's slowly gaining momentum. Is this a return, do you think, perhaps to a World Sports Car Championship for prototypes?
I really hope so. After leaving the world of F1 and joining the sports car scene, you suddenly realised it was like this secret of motorsport that no one really has discovered. The cars are fantastic and the scene is brilliant. The fans that are dedicated to that scene obviously already know, but just because it doesn't get the same kind of marketing behind it and the same kind of fan base in pure numbers, it was a big surprise to me. Just what a brilliant scene the whole sports car world is, and something that I think a driver after doing Formula One can look to do for many a year. And I for one I just can't wait for this season to really kick off, because I think the likes of Peugeot and Audi fighting each other tooth and nail throughout the whole season. It's something to behold. That's what Formula One's about as well. It's the manufacturers doing battle, and we've got exactly the same thing about to happen this season.
And it's all going to kick off at Sebring, Al, in March. Half the length of the Le Mans. Some people say it's twice as hard.
Yeah, it's a very different race. For those of you who don't know, Sebring is a bumpy old airfield that has been basically the same format and same tarmac and same everything since Stirling and Wass won it the first time back in the 50s. But it's in the middle of Florida. It's hot, humid, it's bumpy. It's 12 hours. There's 40 cars on the grid. It's quite a short track relative to Le Mans, and I have to say the intensity and focus on that race is massive. The last time we did it was 2009, and the difference between winning and losing finally for us was on the positive side, but it was about 20 seconds after 12 hours of racing, and that was only decided in the last 40 minutes of the race. So it's a massive, massive fight. But the thing that for me is, since 2006, since Peugeot came in especially, we've had great battles in the States with Porsche. We've had fantastic battles in Europe and also now in this ILMC championship with Peugeot, but they've all been right down to the wire. We cannot give away a second at any point, because it could be the deciding factor between being happy on Sunday night or being sad.
Audi skipped Sebring, obviously. I've just worked it out. You think he only won because you weren't there?
Well, it's the only reason. We'll find out in the middle of March this year.
Yeah. Allan, thank you very much indeed. We've got to let you go for another celebrity appearance somewhere. Have a great season, and thanks for talking to us. Allan McNish, everybody.
Thanks very much. See you at the first corner.
Thanks, Allan.